Hello, everyone. I am Jadey and welcome to Career Conversations. Today, we're going to be digging into career growth and the myths and the truths around that. And I'm just absolutely thrilled to be joined by Jennifer Jones. She's the CMO of TIDI Products, which is a medical device manufacturing company with operations globally. She is truly one of those leaders who builds leaders. And she's scaled marketing organization from 4 people, I think, to like 60.
True. Facts. Yeah.
Leading product and communications and channel strategy. It's just been an impressive growth trajectory over the last 9-10 years with the organization. Jennifer comes from being a music director at her church. She's a mom. She's an avid plant lover and gardener, which makes total sense why you would be so intentional about growing people. So welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Happy Friday.
So we actually met
Mm,
initially in a coaching and leadership group,
Yeah.
and you were just such a standout star.
As were you. I think it's a virtual networking group I've been a part of since actually COVID. And I think you've joined it here recently. And I think we were talking about how do we better support our folks from a balance perspective and all that. I think you shared with me some intriguing perspective on making sure that we don't focus on perks, that we focus on kind of the whole individual and what's important to them. And at the end of that conversation, I was like, I got to get to know her.
So I want to just kind of set the framework here. We're going to talk about some myths,
hmm
right, about growing your career, promotions, getting to next levels.
Yeah.
But I want to make sure that we're really intentional about this. Yes, there's some common myths. Yes, we would have some thoughts about that maybe 2-3 years ago that probably would already be maybe a little countercultural. Um,
Agreed.
but we can't step over the moment
No, not
either
at all.
right now. Let's kick it off. Myth number 1: time served
Mm,
equals promotion.
mm. It's such a myth. I think there's a sense that, hey, if I've been here for 2 years, I've checked the box and like it's time for me to get a promotion. And I think the reality is that I'm not quite sure that was ever relevant in our careers, right? I think at the end of the day, one thing I often tell folks that I get the opportunity to lead and support and mentor is one that your career will always find you. And I believe it's going to find you doing good. And so sometimes time served, you could be in a role for 6 months and make a massive impact on the organization. And the organization sees you in a different light, sees you in a different position, and that promotion will come. So I think to think that I'm gonna sit in my job and just serve my 2 years and be successful is unlikely. To think that time served is really what's important. And so I think I challenge, especially maybe our folks that are newer to the working force, because I think if you think about how people go to school, you go to first grade, you go second grade, you serve your time and you move on to your next grade, right? Things change when you leave the school environment where now it's about the impact I'm making, and that needs to be what you're focused on. Less on how much time I've spent in the seat, but more, can I be found doing great work? Can I be found driving value? Can I be found mitigating risk for the organization? And if that's true, that's really where promotion comes in. I think we live in a culture, a little bit of entitlement.
Mm,
And
mm.
right? And so, and I think there's probably a lot of backstory to that, right? We are from a generation of probably parents that had to work really hard and they just wanted to give us everything they could. And so that has created this level of entitlement. But at the end of the day, when you're like out on your own 2 feet, you got to do your work to move into those next roles. So again, I think promotions will always find you doing great work. They won't find you having punched a clock for a certain number of years.
Wow, I love that. I love that quote, and it's so true. I was recently co-hosting an event with a number of CHROs, and they were talking about the trend of these mini promotions,
Interesting. Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
throwing
Yeah.
about like Skittles, right? Like, or people coming into organizations, especially
Yeah.
junior folks that are dissatisfied if they don't have a title change or some kind of
Mhm.
mini promotion
Yeah. Yeah.
within 3 months, 6 months, definitely by that year point,
Yeah.
and how detrimental that is potentially to that individual's actual growth and definitely the team's structure.
Yeah.
Have you had that experience of
Yeah,
coming onto your team?
I'm not even quite sure I knew it was called a mini promotion, but
Yeah.
powerful. I've actually inherited talent that experienced that. And here's the problem. And I often say one of the most difficult roles in marketing to hire is that senior level individual contributor.
Mhm.
And the reason why is because I don't really know the experience set that you had to get you to that level in the organization. And there are some scenarios where folks have gotten a title because they've checked a box or they want to satisfy this desire to for that person to feel like they're growing when they were not equipped. And so now folks that are receiving that person that did not have the ample experience set, but expecting them to perform at a certain level, now
Mhm.
there's a disconnect. And now we're having very difficult conversations around, hey, you're not meeting the expectations of the role. I thought that you had had this level of experience because of the title that you presented with. But the reality is that that micro promotion was a disservice to that individual because the expectations are now rising. And so I think, especially in this dynamic where folks are trying to satisfy this entitlement need or this I've checked the box and they grant people a promotion before they're ready, it 100% is a disservice. Now you've got someone that's frustrated. And
Absolutely.
so it means that leaders have to have tough conversations. Leaders have to have candid conversations. And I think the thing that I have realized, Jay, is in those situations, if that individual knows that in the end of the day, I want what's best for you and I don't want to put you in a position to fail, they can swallow the tough conversations. I think if handled appropriately, you can kind of rehab that move. But it's the as a leader, I think you do your person a significant disservice if you say yes when it's time to still say no.
One other thing before we move off this myth, I think one of those things is not every organization is large enough or
Yes.
structured enough
Yeah. Yeah.
to have all of these
These ro-
different layers and levels.
Yeah, for sure.
And the promotions are really going to individuals that are meeting a moment and a need within the organization. Organizations are not there to give you jobs.
Yeah, that's right. That's
They're
right.
there to fulfill on their obligation either to make money or to, if you're in a nonprofit, to serve the community, what
Yeah.
have you.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think that's right. It's interesting when I joined TIDI, it was a team of like 4 people. Well, where TIDI was in their strategy, it was the right amount of folks, right? It took the evolution of the business strategy and a couple of acquisitions and all of that to create the space for more roles and to create the space for more levels. There's been many conversations, JD, I've had over the course of the last 9 years where I've told someone, listen, I know we don't see the path to the next level for you, but here's what I do see. I see a path to the strategy of the business growing that will create the space for promotion and for growth in this organization. I like to believe that for many of those folks that I've had conversations with that have been with me for 7, 8 years, they've seen that come to fruition. But the key in that dynamic, which is we go back to time served, they had to be a part of the strategic growth of the business.
Yes.
They had to be a part of thinking about where are the new areas for us to double down on or create new space for the business to grow. So all of those individuals, quite frankly, paved the way for their promotion in the work that they were doing today.
Yes.
It had nothing to do with time served.
100%. It's value produced.
Great. It's great. Well said. Well
Um,
said.
I'd say one other thing. So at that event that I co-hosted, we had a futurist, Rashad Tabakawala, who is
Mm,
the author of
okay, that's
Rethinking
awesome.
Work. He's amazing.
Yeah. Yes.
In
I've read that
fact,
book. Great
yeah,
book, by the way.
amazing. And what he said was skills are the new currency of
Mm,
credibility and growth.
yeah. Yeah.
And so even for those organizations that may not be at that growth stage
Yeah.
yet,
Yeah.
that might not have all the levels and the opportunities for whatever career path or skill set someone's on, the
Yeah.
ability to really take advantage of the moment to gather
Mm,
those skills
mhm. It's critical.
is critical because the growth doesn't necessarily have to be within that one organization.
Beautiful.
And that moves us to myth number 2, which
Yeah.
is that the next move is always up.
No, no.
The answer is
And
no.
part of the challenge with that myth, JD, is there's like not enough seats. like, like, like there's just not enough roles. And so if you want to continue to grow your career, you have to go broader. Otherwise, you're going to be stuck. I completely agree that the
Yeah,
moves are no longer just up and down. I think sideways is important at this
yeah,
stage.
absolutely. And I would even say I think that there is a need for a high potential IC, highly
100%.
impactful SME
Yes.
that is critical for the organization. And
Yes.
more organizations are starting to create career paths for
Right.
individuals who may not want to go into managing teams, but
Right.
want to continue to contribute at a high level. I'm thinking of machine learning folks. Like there are people who just may want to have their hands on building at this point because there's just so much interest there,
Right.
not necessarily leading huge teams to do it.
Yeah, yeah, it's interesting. I think that's the other powerful dynamic, JD, around individual contributors. Not everybody can be a leader. Not everybody can have a group to follow. And the reality is that the work gets done by the people individually. Like there has to be individual contributors flex against the work. I think there's always this thought that the only way I grow in my career is if at some point in time I'm like the boss. And one thing I've recognized is like leadership is not for everybody. It is a different skill set. And that's where like the lateral moves, sideway moves are really important for you even being more impactful as an individual contributor.
Absolutely. Well, I'd say one thing both Rashad had mentioned, and I even saw something in the World Economic Forum was talking about this idea of careers are now portfolios, right? It isn't a
Yeah,
ladder, it's
yeah,
this
yeah,
portfolio.
yeah,
That there
yeah.
may be times and spaces where you may be moving from one IC
Right.
opportunity, broadening, maybe managing teams, maybe it doesn't necessarily have to look so linear. Well, let's move to myth number 3.
Yeah,
Your manager owns your career.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Now, you
Mm.
have grown people, and I
Yeah,
know
of
you
course.
take it as a point of pride that that
Yes.
is part of brand you.
Yep.
So what are your thoughts about that? Does your manager own your career?
No. So a couple things. One, I think that the role that your manager plays is to equip you for the work that you're doing and identify untapped potential and help you figure out how to fill that out. Okay. But one of the most like challenging conversations for me is when I sit across the table from someone and they're talking about like, well, what's my next role? And I ask the question, well, what do you want to do? Well, I don't know. Well, then I don't actually really know what to do with that information. So I think if we go back to how we started the conversation around your career will find you doing good work.
Mhm.
Sometimes your manager, because you're doing the work, in that doing, they will say, okay, this is the right next step for her or him. Like it'll be apparent to the manager. But in some scenarios where you're operating well in the role that you're in and you don't really have a plan, it's hard for the manager to say, well, this is where you are today, and if this is the next role, here is the gap.
Mhm.
So listen, if you're gonna wait on your manager, then you better be found doing good work all the time so that they can obviously see it. But as organizations kind of get flatter and leaders have more people, there could be some things that leader's not going to be able to see you do every day. So that's why in that development conversation, you kind of you have to have a plan. Here's the other thing I would say, JD. Not every manager does career like development of people well.
No.
And
Mm-mm.
it's not because they don't want to, it's because they don't know how, or they ascribe to the myth that being a manager means I'm going to tell people what to do. So if you're going to leave your career in the hands of someone who might not be equipped,
Yep.
it's a dangerous place to be. So you have to take routine pauses to say, what about this job am I doing today that I love? What about this job, like if I could pay someone, I'd never do it again? And how might that inform what I want to go do next? One of the questions I ask many people I interview, so you get this job right now that you're interviewing for. What's next for you?
Mm,
And when that person kind of looks at me with the deer in the headlights, I'm like, so you haven't even thought about how this role is a vote for your future. And so
mhm.
those again, it gives me perspective that like if I hire this individual, they're going to be looking to me to give them what that roadmap looks like for them, and that's like not fair because I don't know you as well as you know yourself. And then what happens if that leader leaves?
That's what I see so much in my coaching practice. I'm dealing with very senior level professionals often who have been good soldiers, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Like
for sure.
they've been thrown at every major problem, they've been spread all over the organization,
Yeah.
and they've really gotten behind whatever their executive team needed, right?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
And then suddenly you have a leadership change,
And
and
then what?
and then what, right? Like, who are you? I would say the other piece with that is that external forces, right? Like external information,
Mhm.
cohorts,
Mhm.
mentors are
Mhm.
really important because just
I
staying within the confines, and especially if it's an organization that's not fast growing, that it may
Mhm.
not have a number of levels, it might not
Mhm.
actually offer what it is that would be best for you.
Yeah.
To actually go out and see
Yes.
and to continually have those kind of informational
Yeah.
interviews per se, or
That's
larger conversations, because oftentimes I see people, they just don't know what's possible.
that's right. Yeah.
They need to demystify what else is out there.
The worst time to start looking for mentors is when you need something.
Yes.
I'm between a job or I need to re-go. That's the worst time. The only reason why I'm in marketing right now is
Uh-huh.
because of a mentor. I started my career in sales and loved being with customers all the time, but like was always frustrated that when a solution that I thought my customer needed was not in my bag.
Mm,
And so for the better part of 10 months, I was complaining to my mentor. And finally she said to me, I think you should be in marketing.
mm,
Now, which is crazy because like my undergrad was in marketing. So why I didn't like get that connection, I have no idea. But in my mind, I was just gonna just keep growing through the ranks in sales.
mhm,
That is the only reason why I made that pivot because she was able to like without a bias. She wasn't my sales leader that was afraid that maybe I want to leave sales and now she's got a territory that's open. She was listening to me and she was able to see beyond what I saw and hear beyond what I was saying. I didn't need a job. I needed someone to help me like decipher what I was saying and then help guide me in that way. And that's the power of mentorship. I remember I had a mentee once, and she was so frustrated in the organization she was in because she kept getting overlooked for
mhm,
promotions and over and over. And finally, I said, I was like, your promotion is not in this organization. It's not. So you need to decide if the 20 years you've committed to this organization is more important than your growth. Because if it is, sign me up. I'm here to I'm team stay forever. But then you can't expect to grow. And it wasn't until I said, like, there are other companies that you could work for. Like, this
yeah,
isn't the only company. That then she began to interview. And now she has like gone to a different company. And like I think she's like on her second or third promotion within that company. So my
mhm,
point in saying that is like I agree with you. You've got to you cannot put your career in the hand of your manager. You need to have a village to support your career journey. And you gotta know what you want to do next. Like nobody's gonna know that better than you.
nobody. Absolutely nobody. Well, and then that brings us then to myth number 4. Leaders get promoted for results. Seems like they should, right? You put out the results. Here they are. I'm doing the things. I'm carrying my whole team on my back. Look at all the stuff I'm doing. It's time for my promotion.
No. There is a point in your career where what you do individually actually begins to work against you.
Absolutely.
If you think about entry level, eventually kind of a senior individual contributor, like if that's the trajectory, and then I'm like my first time leading people, there is a blend of your individual results and the results of your team. Like there's a that manager level roles, right? That I would agree. But when you get to the place where you are leading leaders, it is really all about the influence, the supporting, the equipping of those leaders to do the work. The leader's ability to look at the strategy of the business, pause, and say, do I have the right structure? Either are the people in the right seats, or do I have the right seats? Do I have the right structure in place? And once I determine that, then are the right people in the seats? Like that dynamic right there, you will spend the majority of your role as a leader going through that process.
Yes.
And it's always going to be about, does the structure align to execute the strategy? And then do I have the right people? And if I don't have the right people, I've got to decide, like, do I move them to a different seat that they can do their best work? You get to a place where those results, your individual results, earn you the right to have a seat at the table because you've proven
Yeah.
your ability to understand the strategic issue and create a process or a problem or a program to solve the problem. You've shown that ability. The transformation is, can you then support and equip someone else to do it?
Mm.
And so I think one, a leader has to have the ability to hire well and move quickly. They have to have the ability to kind of think through strategy, structure people, and they have to have the ability and the time to focus on developing talent.
Yeah.
That dynamic there creates an organization that is resilient, agile, pretty sticky. People don't leave for just, a $10,000 pay change or a little bit, like they stay for a season. And no leader at the top wants to have someone below that can't retain talent in their organization. Nobody.
Mhm. Yes, I saw you, Angelique. Absolutely. Know thyself, because I think
Yeah.
that's part of it. You need to really do a deep dive on kind
Yes.
of who you are and where are you getting your validation. I think
Yeah,
that's
that's
one
good.
thing I see is
That's good.
people who have risen up the ranks because of what their output
Mhm.
has been. Sometimes they've had to use sharp elbows
Mhm.
or you outshining trying to outshine their peers,
Mhm.
right? And they're getting all that validation from it. It's hard to then hand over
Mhm.
those things that you got so much validation for
Mhm.
to the people on your team. And then suddenly there's a big bottleneck.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
standing in the way of efficiency and also standing in the way of building your team, building
Yes.
their confidence, building their
Yes.
trust in you, building
Yes.
their actual skill set.
Yes.
If you are still trying to be the one who is best at that thing.
It's interesting. If leaders realize that their role is to develop and equip and always have the team ready to take on more, whatever that more looks like,
Mhm,
I think they would recognize it makes their life a lot easier whenever change happens. So, I mean, I think through an acquisition,
mhm,
if you've already identified these are the leaders, here's their roles, here's their skill set, here's what they're strong at, you can acquire something and a lot quicker integrate it because you know where it's going to land because you're not starting from scratch. Or if the organization grows more rapidly than you kind of plan from a future
mhm,
org chart, you can make those moves a lot quicker. If a leader is spending 30% of their time developing people and that's it, and that's like generous, you're failing.
mhm,
If you're spending 70% of your time doing stuff, you're failing.
mhm,
That's not what people get paid to do. You are paid to always think about strategy, structure, people. How do I support and equip the folks? And how do I make sure that I can effectively translate the strategy and how that then impacts the individual and their connection to that work so
yes,
that they can continue to move us collectively towards the goal. If you find yourself doing at some point in time, you're going to burn out and the organization is going to
mhm. Right, you're the limiting factor,
burn out.
and it's visible. That's the thing. Like, I think that's the piece is that I oftentimes individuals don't necessarily see those shortcomings or they're not being told that, and they don't believe it's so visible, but every senior leader can spot it a mile away.
Exactly.
I would also
Exactly.
say it goes beyond even your team, like the true leaders, the ones that are going to get into those executive positions are
Mhm.
the ones that have built the
Yes.
organization and people
Yes.
throughout the organization, that they've
Yes.
had an positive impact on hiring and mentoring and growing
Yeah.
individuals cross-functionally within the
100%.
organization and externally.
Amen. I still believe that one of the most critical transitions, I think organizations at large fail
Mm,
people, is that transition from an individual contributor to a leader.
yeah.
It is where we fail the most,
Mhm.
and it creates such a significant domino effect. That transition is so important to the sustainability of the organization, the growth, the development, the movement, preparing them to grow. It is such a critical transition, and we probably spend the least amount of time with those folks. We spend more time onboarding a CEO than we do the team that is supporting the team that's actually getting the work done.
That is so true. All of the support that they get, the coaching that comes
Oh,
with all
yeah,
my goodness, so much.
yeah, yeah. But
So
the person that was an individual contributor that was really great at their job, and we say, oh, they can go be a boss. We give them their people and say, go have your way. It's
right.
it's insane.
And there's certain teams that are just known for it. Sales is one of those,
Yeah, yeah,
like,
yeah,
okay, take your top salesperson and make it rain.
yeah. No, let them keep like scoring the baskets. You probably need somebody else to be the coach of this team.
Absolutely. Do you have any other insights or recommendations for folks as they're thinking
Yeah,
about their career right now when there is so much change?
yeah. We spend a lot of time, I think, when we're afraid, crucifying what we think is going to take something away from us, right?
Yeah,
So I think many folks are spending a lot of times, I would say, crucifying AI as a tool because they see like, oh my God, like if AI can do my job, I don't have a job. So I think what I would just challenge folks individually is to change your thinking, and that AI is going to finally free me up to go learn that new skill or to go do that one thing I've been wanting to do that's been on my to-do list for like 20 years, but I can't get to it because I got this like tactical stuff that eats up all my time. It is on the leaders to also begin to think about like what might we do more of because now we're going to make that person more efficient. My fear is that instead of leaders thinking about the open capacity as something or potential that can be flexed to the strategy of the business to grow faster, they're going to look at it as a means to reducing headcount, and it's a miss. And so I think we're at a point in time, JD, where we can transform those knowledge workers and where we're wasting their time
yes.
and begin to tap into their untapped potential. But as a leader, you're not going to know what their untapped potential is if you're not spending time with the team because you're doing too much.
Absolutely. My philosophy is it really is all about you, right? It's about you as an individual. This is a moment for everyone to take full responsibility and ownership and joy in the creation of what comes next.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah.
we're all a part of creating the next version of what work looks like. And
Yeah, so good.
if you can do that for yourself and for your team and the
Mm,
people around you, you're setting yourself up to win.
what a gift. Yeah, what a gift. It's a tumultuous time.
Yeah.
There's a lot of uncertainty, but there's a lot of possibility. I
Mm,
think leading is a privilege.
it is.
You have the privilege and you've been given the opportunity to make an impact on the lives of the people that you get the chance to lead. Don't take that for granted. Make the time, make the space to nourish their potential, and it will pay off in dividends not only in your own personal career but like personal.
Yes.
Like you'll walk away knowing that you did the right thing with that dash.
Thank you all for listening live and for those that are going to be listening down the road. This is Career Conversations with Jadey,
Yeah.
and I'm always down to have conversations. So thank you very much, and we will talk again soon.
Thanks.